Take a moment. Put yourself in the shoes of one of your students who's arrived late to their science class. After rolling their eyes and muttering under their breath, the teacher gives you a detention and asks you to sit down and get on with your work. Whilst you're getting your books and pencil case out of your bag, another student runs in late to the class. This time, the teacher smiles and carries on delivering the lesson. How would you feel? Hi everyone, I'm Natalie from My Progression, and today we're going to be exploring consistency in the classroom. What it is, why it's important, and how you can make sure your classroom is as consistent as possible. What is consistency in the classroom? The definition of being consistent is to act or do something in the same way over time, especially to be fair and accurate. With this in mind, consistency in the classroom involves setting clear expectations in order to receive consistent responses from your students' behaviour. These expectations could involve what behaviour you expect to see, the standard of work you expect children to create, or what the students can expect to see from you as their teacher. Consistent classrooms are essential for students' academic and personal achievements. A consistent environment gives students the time and space to thrive, flourish, and grow whilst managing their behaviour and expectations at the same time. Not only can consistency have a positive impact on your students' learning, but it will also help them build trust, communication skills, and confidence. Why is it important to have a consistent classroom? A consistent classroom should promote a positive, engaging, and independent atmosphere for your students. When students know what to expect each school day, it will naturally reduce behavioural issues and allow them to take ownership of their actions, no matter what age they are. The students' trust in you will grow as they learn that you will be fair, supportive, and transparent with them, which will also help them build a rapport with you. Once these positive and trusting relationships are formed, they'll begin to positively influence your students' engagement and even their academic performance. For example, if you've had a student who dislikes a certain subject because of their relationship with their previous teacher, you can use your positive rapport to make them feel comfortable again and able to trust you with their concerns or struggles. If your students are concerned about what reaction you might have to their behaviour, then they'll be focused on that rather than their learning. How do you create a consistent environment for your students? First of all, it's important to establish clear expectations. If students don't know what's expected of them in the classroom, then it's inevitable that their demeanour and work will also be inconsistent. The clear expectations you should be setting include expected behaviour, classroom procedures, expectations around their assignments, projects and tasks, or what they should expect to see from you as their teacher. Clear expectations will help reduce confusion for the students while also creating a clear sense of structure. Instead of telling off Thomas for talking in the back of the classroom when you want him to be working, create a structure for him. Right, now is our quiet focusing time, but during the last 10 minutes of the class, we can have shared focusing time to discuss with your partner. The next thing to think about is your own behaviour. Am I being consistent? As an educational professional, you're always going to be in a position of influence. Younger students will look at you as a safe parental figure, whereas older students might see you as a role model for them. Whichever age you're supporting, it's important to make sure that your etiquette in the classroom is also consistent. This could be making sure your marking is consistent across your class. Your approach to feedback is consistent between all students. Considering how you act or behave towards your students, and making sure your disciplinary actions are consistent and fair. When we're faced with challenging students, it's natural to become frustrated or overwhelmed. But by maintaining a structured, consistent approach when you're addressing the challenging behaviour, It will help you stay in control whilst also being fair and non-judgmental. Check out our video on handling a disruptive class. And whilst you're there, like, subscribe, and click on the bell to keep hearing more from My Progression. An easy way to remain consistent for your students is with your tone of voice. You'll naturally change your tone depending on your situation. If you're trying to get the class to be excited about their times tables, you'll use a different tone of voice than if you were disciplining a student for talking in class. If you make sure that your tone consistently matches the situation that you and your students are in, the students will be able to quickly understand what will be expected of them. One way to ensure you're being consistent could be to reflect on your day to see if there was anything you could have done differently. Rationally detach from challenging situations when behaviour is escalating. And while it goes without saying, avoid having favourite students to help you stay as consistent as possible. While having a favourite student will affect your consistency as a teacher, consider what impact that will have on the student you've favourited and the other students in the class. For the student that you've made exceptions for, it could open them up to name-calling or bullying. The student may no longer feel they're able to come to you for support, which could have detrimental effects on their learning. Also, for the students who aren't the favourite, it's likely they're going to act out, display poor behaviour to get attention, or generally begin to feel left out or underappreciated. What if you're having a bad day? How can you be consistent then? Look, we're human after all, so it's natural you're going to have days where you're emotional, tired, or just have a shorter fuse than normal. Regardless of what you're going through, it's important to make sure you still maintain a consistent classroom for all your students. So you need to find a way to release that pent-up emotion that could affect your day. It might only take a quick chat with your colleagues in the staff room before you start your day to begin to feel better. Or maybe a moment to speak to your line manager and explain how you're feeling. Consistency isn't just important in the classroom. It's also important to make sure that all staff members are also being consistent with each other. If one lunchtime supervisor has told a student they can play football, but the other lunchtime supervisor tells them they can't, it's going to lead to frustration, upset, and potentially challenging behaviour. If you're a supply member of staff, take your time to understand the school's policies and procedures. And don't be afraid to talk to your colleagues about any school-specific methods that you should follow. As a permanent member of staff, take part in discussions to share best practice and expectations. And make sure you're all on the same page. For example, I know you're just about to take Harry out for some reading support. I have told him that he finishes his book with you, that he will be allowed to choose one friend to go to the library over lunchtime. Last, but definitely not least, how do you remain consistent when you have students with additional needs? It goes without saying that all students are individual. Some students may require more support with their literacy, and others may need support with their people and communication skills. When considering the individual needs of students, consistency doesn't necessarily mean doing the same thing for every student. For example, if you gave every student the same amount of time every week to support with their spelling, you'll find that some students will be having too much help, whereas others will be missing out. Instead, it's important to make sure the support and accommodations you're making for each student, if they need them, are consistent. This could be something as small as making sure that someone who struggles to focus has access to fidget toys, or something as big as arranging for a student to have one-to-one support throughout your lessons. Additionally, for students with additional needs, they may also be getting support from parents, support staff, or other professionals. It's important that everyone involved with the development of the student are all being consistent with their approach. If the student does have an EHCP or a written care plan, it's a clear way of remaining consistent. But if not, ensure to keep open lines of communication in order to support the student as consistently as possible. We know that when you work with children that no 2 days are the same. And combine that with your own natural stresses and pressures can make your role even trickier at times. But by having a consistent classroom, you're already going to be halfway there to creating a positive learning environment for everyone. Remember to ask yourself, have I established clear expectations for my class? Is my behaviour being consistent? Are my classroom management methods consistent? Am I consistent with my colleagues? And are my students with individual needs receiving consistent support? I've been Natalie from My Progression, and if you found this video on consistency helpful, then like, subscribe and click on the bell to keep seeing more content on working in education. And as always, let's keep your career in motion.